Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to math class. Today, we're going to be learning about area of triangles. So let's watch on the TV what the problem of the day is, and we'll try to figure out what's going on here. Hey, everybody, let's do some math practice. All right, so this is like problem of the day, like we always did back in the classroom. So you should remember this, right? Area of a rectangle. So if, let's turn on my laser beam. So we have the height is 6 inches, or we have width and length. So if it's 6 by 10, what is the area of this? Ready, go. Okay, so you should have that the area is 60 square inches, right? 6 times 10 is 60. It's inches, and so we write square inches. You could have also written inches with a little 2 up here. Okay, so now let's try this. Here we have another rectangle, and it looks the same exact size, right? 6 times 10. So you know the area of this is 60 square inches. Now what if I were to cut this 60 square inches in half? Like that. If I were to cut it in half, each side would be how much? For each half of the 60 square inches, that would be 30 square inches, and that would be 30 square inches, because you put them together and it's 60. So half of 60 is 30. Easy, right? And the line is straight down the middle. Let's try it another way. What if it's the same size rectangle, 6 by 10, but the line is now going sideways through it? Well, it's still 30 square inches, right? 30 square inches and 30 square inches. But let's divide this rectangle in half another way. So now you tell me, what is the area of each half of this? Right, you should have got, it's still 30 square inches and 30 square inches. As long as you're dividing in half, any way you divide it in half, it's still 30 square inches. But what's different now is, look at the shape that we've made. This is a this is a triangle, right? So we've made 2 triangles out of this. So we still have a base of 10 and a height of 6, but then we had to divide it in half. All right, so look, here we have the same thing. Here's that triangle. The height is 6, the base is 10, 6 times 10 would give you 60 if this was a rectangle, but it's a triangle, which means we have to do 1/2 base times height. Base times height, divide by 1/2, or divide by 2 times 1/2 gives you the formula. Sometimes this is written as base times height divided by 2. Okay, got it? So, there's 2 ways you can write the formula. You can write 1/2 base times height, or you can write base times height over 2, right? It's the same thing. Okay, base times height over 2. And so that means for this, you do 6 times 10. What did you get? For the final one, if the height is 6, the base is 10, the area should be 30 square inches, right? So you do 6 times 10 is 60, divided by 2 is 30 square inches. Note that it's a triangle, but it's still square inches. All right, now you guys try this one on your own. Ready, go. Okay, so the base is 10 inches. The height is 5 inches. 10 times 5, base 10 times 5 is 50, divided by 2, you should have 25. Didn't show up. So you should have 25 as your base. All right, as your area. Problem of the day, let's try this one. The area of a triangle, again, is 1/2 base times height. Let's see what the measurements are. What is the area? The height is 30. The base is 40. So what is the area? Okay, so if the base is 40 times 30, it's like 4 times 3 is 12 with 2 zeros, so it's 1200. Divide that by 2. Oh, you should have 600 as your answer, 600. All right, let's do this one. Last one. Here, the area of this triangle, again, it's 1/2 base times height. Now notice the measurements that we have here. You have the base is 8 centimeters, the height is 12 centimeters. And what is this one, 23 centimeters? Is that the base or the height? No, it's not. So, do we need to worry about this one? No. Are there going to be measurements like this in your problems just to mess you up? Oh, yes, there will be. So, what is the area? 8 times 12 times a half, or divided by 2. You should have 8 times 12 is 96, and half of 96 is 48. 48. Got it? Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Now let's watch a YouTube video that I really like.
We're going to learn the formula for finding the area of any triangle. But to do that, we're going to start with a rectangle again.
What?
The dimensions of this rectangle are 3 meters by 4 meters. So, what's its area? Well, using our formula, we know that the area would be 3 meters times 4 meters, which is 12 meters squared. But now, what if we were to cut this rectangle exactly in half along a diagonal line from opposite corners? It forms 2 triangles. And because each of these triangles is exactly half of the rectangle, that means that the area of either triangle must be exactly half the area of the rectangle. We already calculated that the area of the entire rectangle is 12 meters squared. So the area of this triangle must be 6 meters squared, and the area of this triangle must be 6 meters squared, since 6 is half of 12. Aha! So the formula for the area of a triangle should just be half of a rectangle. So does that mean that instead of area equals length times width, it should be area equals 1/2 of length times width? Yep, that's basically it, but with one important difference. Instead of L for length and W for width, we're going to use 2 different names for our triangle's dimensions. We're going to call them base and height, and here's why. The names length and width worked okay for this right triangle because the right triangle is exactly half of a rectangle. But those names don't really work for other kinds of triangles, like acute triangles or obtuse triangles, because how do you tell which side should be which? So for triangles, we do something different. First, we choose one of the 3 sides to be the base. It doesn't really matter which side you choose, and in a lot of math problems, the base will already be chosen for you. Once we decide which side the base is, we imagine setting the triangle down on the ground so that its base is flat on the ground, like this. Next, we find the highest point of the triangle, which is the vertex that's not touching the ground. From that point, we draw a line straight down to the ground. The line we draw must be perpendicular with the ground. The length of that line from the tip of the triangle to the ground is called the height of the triangle. Oh, some people call the height of a triangle the altitude, which makes a lot of sense if you pretend that your triangle is a tiny little mountain. Sometimes the height line is inside the triangle, like with an acute triangle. And sometimes it's outside the triangle, like with an obtuse triangle. And sometimes it lines up exactly with one of the triangle's sides, like with right triangles. But no matter where it is, the formula for finding the area of any triangle is the same. Area equals 1/2 base times height. So if we know these 2 measurements, base and height, we can just plug them into our formula to calculate the area. At first, you might not see how the same formula could work for all 3 types of triangles, but watch this. Here's an acute triangle, and this box is 1/2 its base times its height. If we cut our triangle up, you can see that it fits perfectly inside that area. But wait, there's more. Here's an obtuse triangle with a box that's 1/2 its base times its height. Again, if we cut up the triangle, it fits perfectly inside the box. Now you can see how the formula, area equals 1/2 base times height, works for any kind of triangle. Okay, we already figured out that the area of this right triangle was 6 square meters. So let's practice using our new formula to calculate the area of these last 2 triangles. Our diagram shows that the base of this acute triangle is 5 meters, and its height is 8 meters. So we plug those values into our formula for area, and we get area equals 1/2 of 5 times 8. 5 times 8 is 40, and 1/2 of 40 is 20. So the area of this triangle is 20 meters squared. Don't forget that the units of measurement for area will always be square units. Okay, that was pretty simple. Let's try our last example. The diagram of this obtuse triangle tells us that the base is 4 inches and the height is 7 inches. So let's plug those values into our formula. We end up with the equation area equals 1/2 of 4 times 7. 4 times 7 would be 28, and then we can calculate what 1/2 of 28 would be by dividing by 2. 28 divided by 2 is 14. So the area of this obtuse triangle must be 14 square inches. Okay, now you know all the basics of area.
Okay, so by now you've seen all the examples on the screen and in the video. So you should be experts at finding the area of triangles. But one thing that I want to go over with you is what to do when there is a missing dimension, right? And you did it really well with rectangles, right? With a rectangle, if it says the area is, I don't know, 20 and the height is 4, well, you do 20 divided by 4, and that gives you the base, which would be 5. With triangles, remember, it's a little different because you have to divide by 2. So let's look. Here's the area. Base times height divided by 2 equals the area. So here, in this example, they give you 6 centimeters as the height. We don't know the base, so they're going to call it B. And we know the area is 24 centimeters squared. So the area is base times height divided by 2. We know the height is 6, so it's base times 6 divided by 2 equals 24. So now this is like a problem, and we got to solve it. So what do we do first? We want to get rid of this 2. So this means divide by 2. So how are we going to get rid of it? We'll do times 2 there, and we have to do times 2 here, right? Times 2 there, which gives us 48. 24 times 2 is 48, and these 2's cancel out, so now you have b times 6 equals 48. So now you have base times height, or now we want to get rid of the 6 here, right? We want the b by itself. So you divide now both sides by 6. Divide 6 here, that crosses out, and now you have 48 divided by 6, which is 8, equals b. And that's how you do it. Whew, that's a lot of steps, right? So, okay, so now let's look at this one, this example down here. We have the area equals 40 meters, so I'm going to just write a 40 here. That's area equals base times height over 2. Base times height over 2. And base is b, and then the height, they say, is 8. So let's replace that h with an 8. Got it? So let's start out with that and see if you can figure this out. Ready, go. All right, cool. So let's see if we got it. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get rid of the 2. How do we get rid of this divided by 2? You have to do times 2. So if we do times 2 on this side, times 2, the 2's cancel out. If you do times 2 on this side of the equal sign, you have to do times 2 on this side of the equal sign, which means 40 times 2 is 80. 80 equals b, base, which means that the base of this triangle must be 80. So over here for C, I would write 80 meters. Awesome. Now, see if you can do D all by yourself. Ready, go. All right, so what you have now, let's write it again, and it's really helpful to write it out this way. So the area is 72, so I'm going to write 72 equals, and it's base times height. So here's the base is 12 times h, base times height, and don't forget divide by 2. Always remember that. So the first thing we want to do is get rid of the 2. This is divided by 2, so we have to do times 2. Those cancel out. Now we have to do 72 divided by 2, which is, you all know, 144. So now you have 144 equals 12h, right? 144 equals 12h. So now you got to divide both sides by 12. So then you'll have 12 divided by 12 is 1, or just h. And 144 divided by 12 is 12. So now you have 12 equals h, or h is 12. So here I would write 12 yards. Notice these are not square meters or square yards because we're just measuring, giving you the length of one side. It's not an area. Got it? So this is going to be 12, and there we go. Okay, so now we're on the guided practice on page 676. Got it? Page 676. Page 676. If you're not on page 676, please go there right now and let's do these problems. Number 1, find the area of each triangle. So you try number 1 on your own. Ready, go. All right, so I count this, and the base is 1, 2, 3, 4. So the base is 4. I count up here, and it's 1, 2, 3. The height is 3. And we know the area of a triangle is base times height, and then divide by 2. So 4 times 3 is 12, but then you have to divide by 2. So here the area is 6 square units. Units squared. Got it? Now you try number 2 on your own. Ready, go. All right, so we have to do 8 times 12. So 8 times 12 is 96. And if this was a rectangle, we'd be done, but it's not. So I'm going to just write this again. Area equals base times height over 2. So 8 times 12 is 96. 96 divided by 2 is 48. 48. And you have to write, this is in feet, so you'd write 48 feet squared, or you can write square feet. All right, now you try number 3 on your own. Ready, go. All right, so notice this one, you've got numbers with decimals in it, right? And then you're going to have to divide by 2. It's not fun. And honestly, if you use a calculator for this, I think it's fine, as long as you understand how to do it. So for this one, you do 11.25 times 15.6, which gives you 175.5. But again, this is a triangle, which means you now have to divide it by 2, which will give you 87.75. Easy peasy, right? Cool. Now you try number 4 on your own. Ready, go. All right, so this is like one of the ones with a missing measurement, right? So remember, let's just write here again. Area equals base times height divided by 2. So we have the area, so we know that the area is 21 equals base B times height, which is 6, B times 6, and that whole thing is divided by 2. So we want to get rid of the 2 by times 2, right? Because that's divide by 2. So you get rid of the 2's. If you do times 2 on this side, you have to do times 2 on this side. 21 times 2 is 42 equals B times 6, or 6B. 6B. And now how do we want the B by itself, so we get rid of the 6 by divide by 6 here, and divide by 6 here. So this leaves us with B. 42 divided by 6 is 7. So the answer would be 7. And I look here, it says inches, so it's going to be inches. And again, it's not square inches because it's just the length of one side, not the area. All right, now you try number 5 on your own. All right, so this one, it's a little tricky. I mean, only the way they draw the picture. You know the height here is 9. They give you the measurement of the base down here, but really this is also going to be the same as this. So really we know that the base is 9 and the height, the base is 10, the height is 9. 9 times 10 is 90, and then again divided by 2, so you should have 45 centimeters squared. Got it? All right, if you got all those, I think you are ready for the independent practice on the next page, 677. So why don't you go do that now? And then please come to the Zoom meeting tomorrow, because we'll go over the answers, and I know this is a little bit new for some people, and I will give you all the help you would ever want. All right, so I would like you to do this for your independent practice. All right, great. So please do that independent practice, and we'll see. Hey, guys, what are you doing? Go back to your seats. Oh my gosh. Go back to your seats, please. Please get off of the sink. Oh, my class. Hey, no standing on the desk. Hey, you're on the desk too. All right, anyway, please do the math that was assigned, which is page 677 in your math books. All right. See you tomorrow for the Zoom call. Bye.